Hello and welcome to SD2 Battle Order. Today I wanted to look at the 28th Jäger division because it's my favorite Axis deck and works great for how I typically play the game. I'm going to break this video down by phase and then give a general overview at the end after each deck. I have two decks for the 28th Jäger and we'll go through my Juggernaut and V for Victory deck in turn. I like to break down my decks with a simple 3-step principle based on the phases in the game. A being position, B being to maintain, and C being to sustain and advance. I hope you enjoy. Timestamps are in the description below. Looking at a general overview, 28th Jäger Juggernaut is a very strong team game based city fighter and forest grind type deck, with powerful line infantry, strong artillery, and the ability to field an impressive amount of air power. The deck performs well with the role of dealing with close quarters combat, with the main issue of the deck being the anti-air tab and the lack of more direct fire support. These challenges can be overcome by decent use of aircraft and liberal application of artillery. Starting with Phase A, we're going to take a look at a couple things. Let's go in order here from top to bottom. The first thing you'll notice is going to be the KFZ-4. This is basically not a recon. Yes, it has higher optics, but that really doesn't matter for Phase A. No one is in any kind of position, you really just need it for the speed and the two machine guns. The idea of this vehicle is to blitz up along with infantry, fire the machine guns at things, stun them until your guys get into position. Moving forward, we have the Enzo Swoopin'. It's $15. With an Opal Blitz, what more can you ask for? Yes, you could ask for a machine gun, but it's just not going to happen thanks to Huge Systems. It works well as a line infantry that's cheap. For Juggernaut, you're going to need cheap, you don't have that many points. With 110 points in Phase A, you just ain't going to have the money. The Jäger Pioneers are going to be your next best thing. While you only get 5 of them, yes, I understand that. You really do need something that can actually kill things. The machine gun, especially the grenades, are really going to help that out. Another supporting asset here is going to be the Jäger Pioneer. This is going to help you with, again, more grenades to sustain it better, and with the radius that'll help upbit your troops, especially the Enzo Swoopin' and the Jäger Pioneers. That's really going to help out. In Phase A, I also take 5 tanks. While this isn't a lot, and you don't get terribly many tanks with super heavy armor, is the nature of 28th Jäger. It allows you to have something that can sit there and take shots. That's why it's there. Phase A, I take the Commander just because I always take a Commander. It's very helpful when you can afford it. You might as well have it. I take that over the Flamen Visit simply because I don't think 6-2 strength people is really helpful. They can get artillery and then they're just gone. And you wasted 20 points where you could have had something useful. For duplicate, if you bring 4 or 5, you're spending 100 points. I believe you're better off buying your Commander. You also, in Phase A as well, you're going to get anti-tank. You have to bring the Marauder 3 in Phase A. With the 145mm AP shells, the 190mm Ace PCR shells, it just helps if an enemy Russian sends an IS-1 or IS-2 to get it to go away. The Panzerschulbe 42, 41, 28mm is really helpful as well. I bring it with the Schwinn just to get it up there to the front line decently fast enough, at least enough to keep up with the infantry coming in the Opal Blitzes. Especially when it comes to the 80mm for $25, it really helps a lot. Anti-air is also going to be very helpful. Your air tab is really good, but your anti-air tab is trash. When you have flares that will bring bombers, fighters, or CAS over your troops, having something mobile that, again, can keep up with infantry, can get your position ready, is really helpful. While yes, this thing sucks, I don't think it really stops. It gets people to think twice and to fuck off. Phase A as well, you're going to need some kind of fire support. You just need it. The 81mm is a cheap option. You can send it again, a fast vehicle. You can put somewhere, get it into position, and that's really it. I do not bring aircraft in Phase A, simply because the Juggernaut deck really can't afford it, which is also why I bring the Schwinn Flak 20mm. Phase B, like I said earlier, is maintain. What you're really trying to do is maintain the troops that you put forward in Phase A. You're going to have Enzo Swoopin', yet maybe 1 or 2 Jäger Pioneers left, maybe some empty ammunition KFZs, 1 or 2 Stugs, a couple of these. You should have all your Swams and your artillery. That's not a lot to hold the line. Especially against players that are playing on normal income, you're going to be outgunned. What you really need to do is double down on the fire support, which is what I've done here. Again, let's go top to bottom and check it out. While the sniper team is helpful, what it really is for is to pick off infantry and to make people think that you have more weapons than you do. Yes, they saw you have Jug, they know you're weak, but they don't really have a good idea how weak they are. If you played it correctly, you should have your troops positioned, but have a little bit of a no man's land between your troops and the enemies. What this does is allow you to see how close they're getting, and it really helps out with the artillery situation. Infantry is really just, again, a reflection of the maintained section. You have Jaegers, you have Jaeger Pioneers. Send these guys forward, put them in the town or forest you're in, and just let them sit there and keep them away. With the MG42, the Panzerfaust, again, MG42 and grenade, you really can keep people away from you. If they do get close, the Jaeger Pioneers have 7 MP40s, which really helps out in city and forest grinding, which is, again, why I like this deck a lot. I tend to fight in those positions, and it really helps me. For tanks, this is going to be a little weird, but you get 2 B-phase things. Again, I don't like taking B-phase tanks. I'd rather have one in them in C, or even both in C, just for the cost purposes, and the fact I'm playing Juggernaut. But this is the best you can do. You probably won't use all these tanks, and you really shouldn't be using these tanks, many tanks in Phase B. That's the best you can do. For Phase C support, I like to bring a Phase B. For Phase B support, I really like to bring a Phase B supply truck. One, I fire a ton of artillery, and I need something to refuel them. I cannot go Phase B without firing shots, and I typically run out towards the end of Phase A. I really do need this thing. Again, now that you are going to be maintaining your position, having the infantry gun really helps. Having something that can go, you know, okay, not the fastest, but it can get there in time. Especially with the machine guns, especially with the machine gun, a truck that doesn't respawn, you can sit it there, move up the machine gun if you need to, if you get desperate, or maybe you just keep it back there to move it around if it gets artillery. Something that's helpful. For anti-tank, it really helps having the PaK-38. Something that can penetrate 150mm for APCR and 100 for AP shells with pretty decent accuracy. It's not bad. You get 9 of them. They come in a horse. That means they go nice and fast at 90 kilometers an hour on road, 45 kilometers off road. It's not bad to sustain yourself. I mean to maintain yourself. For anti-air, again, nothing. You only get 3 slots, and the third one's expensive. We're not doing that. For artillery, again, that goes back to the maintain the position thing. Again, the 120mm is perfectly suited for this. 600-meter range with a decent blast radius, and 6 damage. It allows you to really beat up some people that are trying to get close to you. With something you can just rapidly fire control at people, it really helps. Another thing that also helps is the off-map. While yes, I could take off-map in Phase C and get 3 of them, it really does help having heavy artillery I can just spam in front of my troops to keep people away from me using the barrage feature. It really helps. Phase B is when I start introducing aircraft as well. The Focke-Wulf 190A8 is really nice. You have 600 kilometers an hour. Not the best agility, but for what I use it for, it's typically an interceptor. It should be okay. It really should help out a lot. Again, you have no anti-air in B. You're going to need something. These things are just not going to cut it. Having these things to supplement that really will help you out. Here we're getting to the Juggernaut phase of 28th Jäger. This is where I like to hold my sustain and kill phase. Mainly because you can sustain with all this infantry, this artillery, the CIS and aircraft, and you can kill. Again, with this heavy artillery, the infantry you have already that's already pretty powerful, you should be able to kill a ton of things. Let's go from top to bottom. With infantry, you're going to get 2 Jaegers, a Sturm Jäger, and a Jaeger Pioneer. These guys are all very powerful and can do a ton of damage. Jaeger again, machine gun, Panzerfaust, really helps out. When they get close, you have MP40s. With this, you're going to get 64 of them. That should sustain you for a very long time. Jaeger Pioneer again, very decent at close range sustain, which you should be doing with this deck to begin with. With the Panzerfaust as well, that's really going to keep away enemy vehicles that are trying to get close and knee your stuff down. Sturm Jäger again with the assault rifle really does make a huge difference. If you're pushing something, I like having a Sturm Jäger or 2 just because the extra range on the rifle really does help out. Especially when you're looking at the range from the MP40. Again, you're getting fully automatic fire from 100 meters to 300 meters. That does a lot more than you think it would. The only thing I don't like about Sturm Jägers is going to be the heat grenade. It's fine, but it's nothing like a Panzerfaust. I think the PaK-47 5mm is just your best option. You get an APCR with 190mm penetration, and for AP you get 145mm penetration with a decent range on it. What more can you ask for? In Phase C, this is where we're bringing out the big guns for artillery. It's really nice to have the 150mm just raining down hell, doing counter battery operations, and once counter battery is pretty much in your favor, Again, focusing on pounding targets, especially if you're fighting in a city or forest, it's really nice to just pound these out. It really helps having the supply truck. It helps just having that extra ammo. Again, to supplement your stuff, I fire a ton of artillery. This is almost required. Yes, I don't have enough with all three, but it does help if I just need a cheap spammable. Here, have 120 points thrown in the field. That really helps out. Fascia is where I keep the rest of my aircraft. Yes, I don't have the rest of it filled out. I don't like too much aircraft. I find to get shot down more times than not. So I really like to be conservative with my aircraft. Having again Fascia Focke-Wulf 190s is really nice to supplement your lacking anti-air. I also like to have the HS-129B3. This is a really nice panic aircraft. If I see an IS-1 or IS-2 that's rolling up and I just can't stop it with whatever anti-tank I have, and it's going to hit me or a teammate, sending this out is really helpful. Yes, it will need to be supported by your Focke-Wulfs, but hey, it's something. Overall, 28th Jäger is a pretty solid deck for Juggernaut, I think. It allows you to have decent positioning, okay maintaining, and a really strong kill towards the end in Phase C. Mainly thanks to the strong infantry, like I said earlier, and the really good artillery, you should be able to hold off most people in town and even push people out towards Phase C when you really start to get kicked in with all your infantry you have. Taking a look at 28th Jäger V for Victory, this is going to be a little weaker than German armored or mechanized divisions, simply because your Phase A position is just not as strong as I'd like it to be for V for Victory, but it's still not too bad, especially given the infantry that you're given in this deck. We're going to go through it just like we did the last one. Phase A for V for Victory is a little different. Let's go through it all. For Phase A, we're going to have the KFZ-4 again, for the same reason we have it in Juggernaut. I can keep up with infantry, and it has 2 machine guns, and it's cheap. That's what it's there for, to run up, shoot a little bit, maybe provide some fire support, and really just harass. For infantry, instead of the Einsatzwaffe, I really go right for the Jaegers. These are mainly for I need a little bit stronger positioning in Phase A, mainly thanks to the points in V for Victory. Really having the MP7s, the machine gun, and the Panzerfaust, it really does make a huge difference. Supplemented with the Jaeger Pioneer, and again, the 5 Jaeger Pioneers, it really does help out. You can be really hard-hitting in Phase A, then really punishing if you play your cards right. Again, a tank is helpful in Phase A. It really does help having 1 or 2 pieces of armor in a town or near a fort, just to keep a machine gun firing, and the occasional HE shell going. In support, just because your opponent is a little bit more flexible, the Flammenwerfer with the BMW is really nice. It's something that can basically run up a little bit ahead of the infantry at 90 kilometers an hour, set up, and harass. I don't expect it to kill very much, I expect it to harass, and it can do that pretty well. For anti-tank, having the 45mm really helps out, largely due to the speed. Again, a little faster than infantry can be positioned really nicely, so this is going to have to go a little bit off-road, but it's not bad. The Marauder 2, again, for keeping away heavier tanks. For anti-air, I typically will not bring Phase A anti-air into V for Victory, largely because this thing sucks, and I really do need to protect myself in Phase B and C. Phase B, especially when your money is a little low. The artillery tab is going to be a bit more beefy in V for Victory, just because I have more money. Again, having the Horts with the 81mm is really nice. I can position and start firing pretty much immediately when the game starts. It really helps having the fire support with your heavy infantry. It's really nice. Artillery in V for Victory is going to be really important as well. You still need to have that Phase A support to position yourself. Having 25 HE and 15 smoke rounds for 4 pieces of artillery is really nice. It really helps out, and with the rate of fire, it really does make a difference. If you need to, or have the extra money, or just need the extra range with the 600,000 meter range, having 20 HE shells of 120mm does make a big difference as well. Being able to splash onto enemy anti-air, which you will need for our Phase A aircraft in this deck, really does make a difference. A phase aircraft is going to be the Tank Buster, as well as the Focke-Wulf 190. This is largely because your anti-air sucks, and you're going to need more of it for Phase B and C to maintain and sustain yourself later in the game. This is basically a panic. If I see, oh, I need an aircraft here and now, I can buy one, throw it onto the field, keep people away or shoot it down. If I see a heavy tank in Phase A that I really wasn't prepared to deal with my later rush of KFZs, which don't really have any armor at all, having the Tank Buster is a big deal. As you'll probably noticed, I upvetted the Focke-Wulf 190. This is just for the agility. Yes, you get one more. It's bad agility, and it really does help out being able to turn a little bit when you're in a dogfight, potentially against 2 aircraft as opposed to your 1 Fokker Wolf. I think it makes a difference. As Chronic for V for Victory, your Phase B is going to be super weak. With only 90 points, you really just need to maintain, and I mean that in a desperate fashion. Not really having many points either is no good reason to buy a ton of troops that are just going to hold the line and get shot up. You should have a really good position from Phase A, having high mobility, being able to move up nice and quick, and being able to just sit in the position. You're going to need to weather the storm in Phase B. The enemy will almost certainly have more points than you, and I do not advise a stick against a Maverick player. It's just not going to go. Starting with infantry, you get 24 Jaegers. They're to sit there, hold the line, and resupply if your guys in Phase A died. For Phase B again, you need tanks. It's the only phase you can get the decent amount of them. Hopefully the 20 tanks will hold you out, and you won't get run over. Again, Phase B is to maintain yourself. You're going to need the extra ammunition. The truck is almost critical in Phase B, as you will be firing a good amount of artillery. Yes, it's a little expensive for Phase B, especially with 90 points. It takes up almost half of your money for every tick, but you need something to supply it or you're just going to get steamrolled. Having the infantry gun as well should really help out. For $55, at least how I have it set up, you can make it cheaper. I'm not a fan of that personally. I really think the extra machine gun for $5 is helpful, but to each their own. Having this amount of firepower in the front line really does a good job at keeping people away from you, and at least holding you off to Phase C. Anti-tank again is based off of the maintain model. I needed something that could run up to the front line, be sat down, and doesn't break the bank too much for Phase B. Again, one of these takes up half of your tick in Phase B. You need something to put there to stop tanks if you run out of these first 2, in which the Flak 45 here just will not do enough. For Phase B, the Flak 38 is helpful for 2 reasons. It's cheap and it's mobile. I can throw a bunch of these in the front line and keep planes away from me. You really can't afford aircraft, so $40 for a fast vehicle that can shoot down, or at least pretend to shoot down aircraft, is really helpful. Artillery again is based off sustaining. The Nebeviffe is really helpful with its heavy blast. You can really stop pushes with it. If you need to in a pinch, you can just point, click, and get people away from you. As you really don't have the manpower to stop a push, having it hold off to Phase C is really what's best. This is the same philosophy I use with the 210mm off-map. It's basically, for $140, I can keep people away using the barrage feature. It really does help. For Phase C, again, this is your sustain and kill phase. One thing I like about V for Victory is how much money you get in Phase C. Only having 15 points less than Juggernaut, it really does help out having that many points to deal with other Juggernaut decks, and even outspend balanced decks by 5 points. While it's not a lot, it really does help, especially given the advantage you had in Phase A. Infantry is going to be a little bit lacking as compared to the Juggernaut deck. Instead of being able to take a Stim Jäger simply because of the lack of availability left here, I think 2 Jaegers is going to be what you need. Having 64 of them sitting on the front line with Jaeger Pioneers and Fuhas, it really does help out sustain yourself. Especially when combined with the Commander really boosting these guys up, you can really do a lot of damage without the Stim Jäger. While I would like to have it, I really just need more than 18 in Phase C. Phase C is also going to feature 2 supply trucks. You're going to need it for how much you're going to fire. V for Victory doesn't do the best at sustaining itself compared to things like Juggernaut for obvious reasons, as well as just front-loading in Phase A due to the nature of this deck. So you really are going to need as much fire support as you can get. Something's got to supply them. Ammo doesn't grow on trees. Again, we're going to have the Pack 40 75mm as your anti-tank. It's just simply the best option. Once again, for Phase C anti-air, you're going to get Flak Mines. Same reasons I had them in Juggernaut. They're decent, they can get people to go away, and they're mobile. And Phase C artillery for this deck, you're going to be a little lacking when you were in Juggernaut. It's just the reality of it. Like I said again, your maintain phase is going to need to be a little beefier for artillery just because you need to keep people away from your weak infantry. Again, hopefully you have an extra off-map and you can keep resupplying the Nebeviffe. That's the idea. That's also why I have a vehicle here in the Nebeviffe that doesn't despawn. You can pick it up, move it somewhere else, and redeploy it, counter-artilleried. But hey, if you're not good at micro, sorry. Really, these things should be the best thing to do, especially with the extra supply trucks. Like I said, with the support tab, you are going to need the extra ammunition. Bring as much ammo as you can. For Phase C, the aircraft really does help out. Upbending again really does help out as well. Your anti-air is weak, and having the extra agility is nice. You're only losing 3 aircraft, which sounds like a big deal, When you look at the agility and the fact that they can just turn and, keep moving and not die immediately, strategically spending 125 points is a little better than just throwing 125 points into the enemy. Again, this anti-tank tank buster is just going to be a panic unit. If I see an IS-2 rolling up that I need to stop, I can just throw one of these at it, supported by Focke-Wulf 190s. Oh. You really are going to need as much fire support as you can get. Something's got to supply them. Ammo doesn't grow on trees. Again, we're going to have the Pak 40 75mm as your anti-tank. It's just simply the best option. Once again, for Phase C anti-air, you're going to get flak for lanes. Same reasons I had in Juggernaut. They're decent, they can get people to go away, and they're mobile. For Phase C artillery, hopefully the enemy shouldn't hit you too hard. Given the fact you've been battering them with your off-map and your Nebevitha, which should be getting supplied, it should be okay. Yes, it's going to be a little more painful than Phase C Juggernaut is, but it should be able enough to win an off-map party fight, win an off... In Phase C artillery for this deck, you're going to be a little lacking when you were in Juggernaut. It's just the reality of it. Like I said again, your maintain phase is going to need to be a little beefier for artillery, just because you need to keep people away from your weak infantry. Again, hopefully you have an extra off-map, and you can keep resupplying the Nebevitha. That's the idea. That's also why I have a vehicle here in the Nebevitha that doesn't despawn. You can pick it up, move it somewhere else, and redeploy it, so you don't get off-mapped. Not off-mapped, you don't get counter-artilleried. But hey, if you're not good at micro, sorry. Really, these things should be the best thing to do, especially with the extra supply trucks. Like I said, with the support tab, you are going to need the extra ammunition. Bring as much ammo as you can. For Phase C, the aircraft really does help out. Upvetting again really does help out as well. Your anti-air is weak, and having the extra agility is nice. You're only losing 3 aircraft, which sounds like a big deal. When you look at the agility and the fact that they can just turn and, keep moving and not die immediately, strategically spending 125 points is a little better than just throwing 125 points into the enemy. Again, this anti-tank tank buster is just going to be a panic unit. If I see an IS-2 rolling up that I need to stop, I can just throw one of these at it, supported by Focke-Wulf 190s.